What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I did actually want to do the Year of the Tiger Summit here in the Crew 2. We're actually going to get ourselves the Jaguar CX-75 Concept Lunar Year Edition. This thing honestly looks pretty dang awesome. You're also going to get yourself some Maserati parts and the Lunar Year Smoke. Besides that, though, I would probably say the next summit most players are probably going to care for is the So French 2 with the lovely Bugatti Veyron Deep Blue Edition. And you're also going to get yourselves the So French tire. Pretty dang worth it if you do ask me. But besides that, let's jump right into the summit here. So as y'all know, it is going to be Street Race, Hypercar, and Powerboat. There's also going to be a random rallycross event here on the top. Besides that, we're going to have an Aerobatics, a Speedtrap, and a Slalom. So for the Slalom, you are going to have to run a Powerboat, guys. I did end up using the Vector. The best thing about these, though, is you can easily run any Powerboat of your choice. As long as you actually have a score breaker set, you are legitimately good to go. Although I would admit, try out the Vector. It's actually pretty dang good. For the speed trap, though, I did actually end up using the Corvette Stingray, which I would say at this point, like, you're most likely going to be using the Stingray because this car is legitimately that good. For this speed trap, though, it is going to be the San Francisco one, so the biggest thing is most likely going to be the traffic. Besides that, we're also going to have an aerobatics. For this, I use the lovely Zivko Edge. I would say the big thing with this one, guys, you don't have to be perfect on it. In fact, you can actually have a score breaker run any plane of your choice, and you don't have to get every single objective in a perfect standpoint. Yes, it is going to help your score a bit, but I would say 150,000 points, you are most likely going to be good to go. Besides that, though, moving over to the events, the first one here is going to be a no restriction rallycross race. Now, this is going to be the Tiger Tonic event, so you probably guessed it. There's going to be a lot of tight corners in this one. I would say, depending on the vehicle you choose, it can definitely make it a tad more difficult or even easier. I'm not sure if there's going to be any cuts. There most likely is. And that's the thing, though. Some of the cuts you might end up encountering in some of the events are actually going to be incredibly good, but in some ways they're probably going to be a mild cheater. Like, you're probably like, okay, I'm going to glitch this entire corner out. I do actually try to be legit, guys. I still got a minute and 36 seconds using the Cadillac Escalade. Like, yes, it is definitely possible. I would say around 130,000 points on this event is probably insane. The big thing about this one, though, is do not be afraid to go out of the corners in a higher gear. This can actually go for a majority of the events in the entire summit. The next one, though, is going to be a no restriction street race. For this, I was like, yep, I am using the Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera. This thing is my favorite. Is it going to be the best overall street car? Well, I would probably say at this point, this thing is still easily top 3, man. If you guys are struggling, try this car out. It is legitimately that good. For this event, though, you're probably going to notice a lot of tight corners in it. One thing I noticed is try to take the corners at a wider angle. That way, if you're actually going into that said corner at a lower gear, you can actually fly out of it with a lot more speed. There's also going to be a few different cuts in this race, so do keep an eye out for them. And also the big jump kind of like in the middle, or I guess you could say towards the beginning of the event. Be careful hitting that too fast because you will hit the actual thing in the middle of the road. Ask me how I know, because I kind of did that when I first did the event. We're then going to have a forced hypercar race in the lovely CX-75. For this, guys, it's going to be Latrell's car part 2. You are most likely going to be fairly familiar with this event. And now keep in mind, this car is also not leveled, so yeah, it's going to be slow. It's not going to be all that quick. The handling is actually fairly decent. Now for this event, though, as I did mention, yes, the car is going to be a lower level, which is going to mean it is indeed slower. For this, guys, I would definitely recommend watching your nitrous control on it. Having more nitrous when you're actually higher into the RPMs, being able to use it to keep your speed up is so dang important. You're also going to fly through that nitrous bar insanely quick, so using it at the right moments is going to be so important on this event to make you as fast as possible. And then for the next one, though, we have a street race with the lovely Murciélago. For this race, guys, I would actually say it's going to be fairly simple to do it. And what I mean by that is the race itself is very straightforward. There is going to be a few cuts. You can also cut some of the corners in it, or at least get around them a lot faster by cutting into the grass a bit. The big thing, though, is when you are cutting the corners with the Murciélago. Now, This could probably go for most of the cars in basically any game, but when you are going around the corners though, make sure when you're actually going over the curbs that you're not turning the car too much over them. I was noticed the car might spin out, you might actually like kind of lose control a bit. At least what I was noticing when trying to turn the car a tad too much going over them. So do keep that in mind, guys, when you are trying to cut those corners. For the next event though, we are going to have a powerboat event. This one is actually going to be fairly simple with the lovely SV12. For this, I would say the biggest part about this event is get in front of the AI. Specifically, get in front of them in the beginning of the race. The way I did do this, though, is in the beginning of it, guys, basically start off, go to the left, and basically boost past all of them. And then once you're actually in front, you won't have to worry about, like, the wake behind the boats or, like, the wave slowing you down and stuff. And you can basically go as fast as you possibly can. For this event, probably having a Nitro Chemist is a great option for it. The final event here in the summit, though, is a hypercar race mixed into a lovely streetcar event, or I guess you could say a hypercar in a streetcar race would be better. For this, though, you actually have to use the lovely Maserati. This car isn't bad, by the way. The big thing about it is getting around the corners as fast as you possibly can. And one of the better ways I was finding in this event, though, is to downshift a bit. Now, this can be for the manual players, at least. I was actually downshifting a bit, tapping my brakes, trying to get around those corners as fast as possible, then boom, shift up, hit my nitrous, and basically fly out of them. It honestly worked pretty dang well. I got 129,000 points, and it wasn't even the best possible run because, well, I did mess up in certain corners. Overall, though, guys, the Year of the Tiger is going to be a pretty dang fun summit. I was actually going to do the Motorfest summit, but for this week, I'm most likely going to pass on it because I have every single reward, and I also heard it's kind of annoying. But anyway, though, if you have any questions at all, do let me know in the comments below. Let's jump right into this.